Plot: The Beyond, 1981. Written by Matt Pate. A young woman inherits an old hotel in Louisiana where, following a series of supernatural accidents, she learns that the building was built over one of the entrances to hell. Voiceover off.
When you're blind and watching movies, what will you find? A blind superhero whose superpowers are acting like he's not blind. A sighted actor over dramatically touching people's faces. Or maybe the whole joke is that they're bumping into different places. A spectacular, macular generation. Tunnel vision to your television. And do they off this movie with audio descriptions? They're movie buffs who know their stuff. You'll be thoroughly entertained. Join Sky and Melissa throughout film history and Citizen White Cane.
Hello. And welcome to Citizen White Cane, the podcast where we tell Hollywood that they're building a movie on ableism and Hollywood makes the movie anyway. My name is Sky McLeod.
I'm Melissa Bukta.
And we watched The Beyond.
Yes, we did. Or watched through our fingers.
As in your case.
In my case.
If I watch through my fingers, I can't see anything at all, because that's the problem with
Or
only having prohibition.
basically just close my eyes and put my head under the cover.
So that's like me watching through my fingers, basically. I was just thinking as a film school student with practical effects. It was very hard for me to think of any of it as being anything but practical effects.
No, the practical effects in this movie are amazing. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you how they did what they did, how they got some of the shots that they got. There was only one point in the movie where I was like, oh, yeah, I can tell. I can totally tell that's not real or whatever. But honestly,
which part was it?
Towards the end, in the outbreak scene, Dr. Harris gets the window explodes and he gets glass in his face. It cuts really fast, and you can tell that's a fake head.
Oh, okay.
But
I can't tell anything that goes fast, so I forgot about that.
To be honest, though, I mean, one out of the dozens of practical effects that they did for this film, it's insane.
It is so funny because I don't think I saw any of the movie because the movie is incoherent. The plot makes absolutely no sense. It's completely impossible. So I don't think I spent a single second of the movie not being like, okay, what are they doing? How did they get this story?
Yes.
Like, that's all I thought about. I did not have any space to be afraid because I was literally just like, okay, they're editing it this way. This is this is the kinds of practical effects they're probably using. And okay, that shot's obviously like a dummy. And that shot, they cut, that shot, nothing's actually happening. So they could intersperse it to make it seem like something's happening.
I was never afraid. I was never, there was never an overwhelming sense of dread around me when I was watching this movie. I think for the exact same reason. I was just trying to tell what the hell is going on. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could look at some synopses and, yeah, no, it's completely incoherent. No, everyone was like, who fucking knows what's happening?
Even the synopses of this. Yeah, I did the same thing. Because I read the Apple one and then I looked at a couple other ones and I'm just like, what? They can't even tell you what is happening.
Yeah, so what we do know is there is a hotel on the Hellmouth.
Right, in Louisiana.
In Louisiana. And there's a blind woman as part of it. Somehow.
Right. We kind of see her maybe in the beginning in a flashback.
But we don't know. It seems as if she's probably dead.
Right. Okay. Yes. Because only the hotel owner who just purchased the hotel and who's trying to renovate it seems to be able to see her.
Right. Yeah. And not that they're really ever she's always only with the blind lady. The two of them are it's never three people and the main character can see the blind woman and no one else can. They're only in scenes together. It's just other people are then weirdly gaslighting her about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gaslighting.
So much gaslighting in this movie. But the blind woman, her blindness is an infection that she can pass on to other people.
Is it?
That's how I'm interpreting it.
Because, okay, so when it's I guess it's kind of a zombie thing but it's like not. It doesn't fully follow the zombie plot lines in any way.
I mean, I'm all for movies not spoon feeding me every little tidbit of information. I love to make discoveries on myself and figure out what's happening on my own. But Lord have mercy, it just tumbles from one plot point to the next, and it just makes absolutely no sense. I think this is. And granted, I am not an Italian horror expert. This is probably my first major foray into that world. But it's more about what is on screen than about
what's
going
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, far more. Yes, it's entirely what's on the screen. I guess, like, I was thinking, like, okay, I guess you have to approach this with, like, how you approach, like, Lynch films. But I just kind of get bored of Lynch because of that. Because I'm just like, I want to actually have something happening. Like, I'm just like, you're just showing me, like, because it's a very cited thing to be like, look at all these cool effects. Like, and I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I want to, like, be invested in the characters and the story. Like, I'm going to forget instantly. But yeah, I can't totally handle Lynch films just because there's, just not a lot. Not a lot of plot. I don't know. People like it. It's like a fever dream, I guess. This one felt even less like a fever dream, though. It felt way more like someone who's like, oh, this is a cool special effect we could do. Right. Like, it didn't even feel like it was a fever dream at all.
It's like his demo reel for all of this cool stuff that he knows how to do.
Exactly.
Which is awesome. But I don't think that makes a very good movie. It was interesting to watch and look at for the most part. But I mean, when I didn't have to look away, But as
it definitely, like, as a high schooler, like, doing as many midnight movies as possible, it just felt like watching this. Even if I was watching it at night, I was just like, this is not. Oh, you can't watch this without a group of people watching it together that, like, are more excited by it too. Because that's part of the fun of the midnight movie is the collective. And I'm like, okay, I would have way more fun watching this if I was part of a group of people. Whereas, like, just to watch on a screen alone, it's just there's no real reason to do it.
No, this is definitely not a genre of film that I'd be like, I'm just gonna throw on Suspiria and call it good. No.
Because it's like a mood. I mean, it's like Rocky Horror or something, which is like more of a plot, way more of a plot. But, you know, like as a classic midnight movie. But it, like, so much of it is being in the audience with a bunch of people. And it just felt like, because it's so ridiculous. And like, but it's also like, you don't laugh at something like this when you're alone. Like, whereas you would laugh a lot more if you were in a theater, because there's like this group, like, we're all like, what the fuck just happened? Did you see this shit?
Oh, yeah.
And like, that's funny. Whereas when you're alone, you're just like, oh my god, what is happening? You know, it's just like kind of, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's just, I really missed the group of people. Maybe that's the quarantine talking also, but like, well, I miss seeing this.
No, you are totally right. This is a midnight movie, a grindhouse movie in every sense of the word. And I think even just watching it with you together would have been a lot more fun.
Yeah. It was funny because I kept being like, thinking like, this is like, Quentin Tarantino must love this movie. Then I did my research and like, Quentin Tarantino is part of the reason why we're able to watch it. Like, literally him.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. Oh, because he probably got it, either got it made or brought it over here from Italy or something.
Well, he like got it in American. Well, okay, so it was re-released in America in I think like, well, the one that we saw is from 83 was released, and then I think they re-released it after that with a different title. They cut a lot out, and they rescored it, and it was, the title was like
weird.
7 wasn't Doors to Hell, like, because do they say something about, was something
gates? It's always
hell?
Gateways. There are 7, supposedly there are 7 gateways to hell, and one has been opened. We never see the other 6 gates, but one of them is right underneath this hotel.
Right, because that is the main like, I guess it's the only really coherent plot point at all. It's like, which is funny because like, that is the one sentence description of the movie, and that is, we watch the movie and you're like, yep, they build a hotel on a hell mouth. That's all you can really say about the plot.
Fun, like, super fun hijinks ensue.
Yeah, it is one of those things that my internet research about what the movie was did give me every coherent plot point that was in the movie.
This movie has everything. It has everything. If you like gore, it's got gore.
I don't know if it has everything.
Well, okay, maybe not everything, but like if you
Character studies.
no. But if you like gore,
realistic pain, like
Right.
realistic anything.
but if you like blood and guts, we got you. If you like zombies, they're right here. If you like supernatural stuff, hello.
Well,
Like,
zombies are supernatural now. It's kind of
yeah,
squares and
I suppose.
rectangles.
Yeah,
It mostly has, if you like zombies and gore, it's not, and it's extremely unrealistic gore, which is also maybe part of the reason why I'm like, Tarantino must love this movie. It's supposed to be
It's
a big
just
important one for him.
Oh my god, the bit where this is something that, besides everything, this is something that truly confused me. The bit where the fellow is researching, the doctor is researching, and he falls off of the ladder in the book on the bookcase. I thought, first of all, that's how Kurt Vonnegut died. So awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That's how Kurt Vonnegut died. He was on a ladder reaching for some top shelf whiskey, and the ladder collapsed. And
This is why I
fell.
don't ladder. This is a good smart. I mean, my grandfather died falling down a flight of stairs, not unsimilar. So, but that's.
But
yeah.
he was reaching for some good whiskey. He died a writer's death. Anyway,
He's on a ladder. I get the whiskey. I was thinking the ladder. It's like, yeah, writers always dying on ladders.
I don't know.
The writer's salary, you can't buy a good ladder. It's all the shitty
stairs.
ones. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So he falls off the bookcase and hits the ground hard, and then
Spiders.
from out of nowhere, not just spiders, tarantulas. So they're big. I obviously have never owned a tarantula, but I've had experiences with them. I've got to hold them. I've got to talk to people who own them. You have to make them angry. You have to piss them off to get them to bite you.
Okay, see, I had the exact same thought. And I appreciate you being taking the sky roll, even though I did have this thought. But thank you for being nitpicky like I am. I appreciate
Tarantulas don't work that way. Thank you. Good night.
I thought the exact same thing, so I very much appreciate we're in agreement that this is. I was like, they are very cuddly. Like, why they're not? This is like. I mean, we do have a guide dog also becomes like this is like they do not understand what animals attack and what animals do not attack.
That's actually that is one of the only kills in the movie that I laughed. That made me laugh because it came from out of fucking nowhere and just he devours her. He eats her face.
Because she seeks him, the blind woman who may be not real. Which I guess, how does he kill a not real blind woman?
That's what I want to know. That's what I like. Is she supposed to be a ghost?
Right.
How does
she die?
She sicks the guide dog on the zombies.
Yeah.
And she's like, go get them. Attack.
Whatever his name is, I forgot. Yeah.
Dickie.
His
name is Dickie.
Wait, we started with Homo and we ended with Dickie.
Yes.
Wow.
We've come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
On the shitty guide dog names.
Yeah, what was Blink's guide dog name? I forgot.
Oh my gosh! She had a guide dog?
No,
right?
Yeah, definitely, because that was the other time the guide dog attacked, and you're like, actually, I think a guide dog is attacked in like almost all of these movies.
Alphonse, I knew I was gonna do it. Ambrose's guide dog from Late Faces. His name was Shadow.
Shadow. Okay,
but. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure they've all been German Shepherds. Every single one of these guide dogs have been German Shepherds.
We have had a guide dog attack in all 4 of the 5 movies. And one of them, the other one, did not actually really have a blind character, which is why no guide dog attacked. But if it did, we would have a guide dog attack, because apparently you just have to do it. But yeah, this is our 4th one. So we had Homo, something we can't remember, Shadow, and Dickie. Now I have to look it up because now I'm dying to know. Okay, so Ralph. Yeah.
Ralph the dog.
Whatever. We started with Homo, ended with Dickie. We're fine.
We did it.
We did it.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Cool. Okay, so yes, so the guide dog. It's like I can't even say it's at the climactic scene because I don't know when the climax in this movie
climax.
is.
It's a lot of set pieces.
It just assaults you again and again and again.
Like the first shot is like someone in like a darkened I think you have like a mob, like you're like really expecting this to be like some sort of like lynching kind of scenario or something. There's like we're in the swamp but we got a mob with like torches and they're like in a boat, and then you're just like, and then at the end of the movie you're like, what was there was no context to that at all.
No,
that was just the first scene.
They never bring it up again.
Yeah, it was just completely irrelevant to everything.
Which is what they call him. A warlock was murdered. Murdered brutally in the first opening scene.
I was gonna look up what really is a warlock. Just like a certain, like a wizard.
Oh wow!
A wizard.
So warlocks have always been hard for me to define.
I like truly
because
don't know.
A warlock, I had always put under the category of evil magic user.
Okay.
And in D&D, warlocks are not necessarily evil, but they're on the darker side.
Okay.
I guess it's about where they get their powers from.
Are they like more chaotic neutral or something? I don't know.
I've never played one.
No,
I've never been in a campaign where anyone's played one.
I mean, I truly don't fully know what they are. I mean, the Lion, the Witch.
It's
the wardrobe. That's warlock. Wow. Just
no. That's no.
I
It's
like
warlock.
know any literary examples.
That's okay. Warlock is thrown around, and I think here they use it as a term for a male witch. Like I used to think a male witch was a warlock, but anyone.
Because I thought that was a wizard. Which is also why I get confused.
Well, yeah. However, witch it could be anyone. A male or a female can be a witch, and a male or a female can be a wizard. So personally, I don't associate gender with those terms. However, even though I'm wrong, I've always thought that a warlock was specifically a male witch. But that's not true because females can be warlocks too.
Okay.
That helped. That got us
gender
nowhere.
Is not a binary. I
No.
mean, warlocks, I feel like probably are, I mean, like our understanding of warlocks kind of fits with this movie's understanding of its own plot.
I think the word here is just to distinguish him from a witch, because witches are associated with the female.
Right. Well, and he's like crucified, right?
Yeah, there's multiple. So a lot of the deaths in the film are crucifixions or
eyes,
biblical style. Yeah. So I can handle horror pretty well. I cannot handle anything having to do with the eyes.
Which we've talked about this before, which I find so funny because I'm exactly the opposite. I'm like, whatever, it's your eyes.
Nope.
You don't need those.
No, so this movie has multiple scenes of eyes being gouged out, eyes being popped out, eyes hanging out from the skull. I looked away. I can't handle that.
It's very funny. I definitely looked at the screen and was like, oh, Melissa will now be able to watch this part.
Are you kidding? After what they do to the guy in the beginning, I was so mad at you. I was screaming.
I just trusted that you would look away. But I mean,
I did.
Sometimes
I did.
I feel like there were some of the eyes, they did a little bit of a build up to it. Whereas I knew it was coming. So I was like, okay, at least it's coming. Because it doesn't bother me, but I'm like, that will give Melissa time to not
I
look.
just hate it. I just hate it so much. It is not fun for me.
Yeah, and also if you're not just spending the entire time thinking about how they're doing the effects and like
that's how I get through most of these. If I'm really scared or terrified by something, I try mentally to step back and try and figure out how they're doing this.
Right.
And I mean, to his credit, I tried and I came up with dummies, obviously.
There's a lot of dummies.
But the melting of people.
Well, that it was obviously a cast, like, because it's so inhuman that I was like, that is a chemical reaction with the cast of someone, and the fact that they would always cut it. I love at one point acid pours onto someone, and it is so obviously water, like that is pouring onto them, and then you
because it's red. The two. It's red water. Yeah.
Well, it's not even red when it's coming out of the thing.
Oh,
it's
you're
just
right.
Like, it looks like a pitcher of water. I truly was like, why is it so scary? This person's just getting wet. Like, this is so obviously a pitcher of water that's like, but no, it's acid, because then you cut to the scene of them laying down, and I mean, they're motionless. So you're like, this is obviously a dummy. This is not a human being in any possible way. Like, there's obviously not even a human being underneath, which like makes sense because you're pouring acid on something that disintegrates in acid, and so you don't really want to have a human being under there because that could get dangerous. But yeah, so that is how they did all those scenes, because you also see how like there is very, very distinct cuts in between someone like falling and then the second the acid hits, all of a sudden they become a corpse that's still. And like, it's just like obviously an inanimate object, whereas you had an actor up until then like playing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also like I think about it a lot as an editor as well. So like every single shot I'm thinking about like when you're using a real person, when you're using a dummy, when you're using a combination of a real person and a dummy. Like honestly, it was like too much to like if there was a plot I don't think I could follow it because that like it was a lot of my brain was like
there's
doing
so
all the
much
figuring it out.
Yeah, no, there was so much going on, and there's just so much coming at you. This movie is relentless. It's either just gore everywhere, or it's two people talking and it's boring.
Yeah, and the dialogue is so bad.
The dialogue is not
and we
good.
we were talking about this before we started, right? About the like it is like because I was thinking, okay, it's like a spaghetti western in that they probably filmed a lot of it in Italian, like speaking Italian, or like that it was dubbed over after the fact.
It must have been because all of the credits are in Italian. All of the opening credits and,
Yeah,
and
well,
the
'cause-
closing are in Italian.
Yeah, it is, and they actually when they did the like Americanized, retitling. I think it was like the late '80s when that one came out. They changed all the names, including our director. What is his name?
Oh, he is Lucio Fulci.
Lucio
Fulci.
Yeah, I think he becomes. I think it was. I don't remember if they changed how much they changed his first name. Maybe it was like Louis or something, but he became like Louis Fuller. I think was what he became.
That is ridiculous.
Oh, the late '80s were just no. They were like
such a weird time.
oh yeah, terrible.
Yeah, but he is considered one of the great masters. Along with Dario Argento in the Italian horror scene,
and he's done some spaghetti westerns as well, so he's like kind of gone around the map. But yeah, I could not find anything online that said like what language they're speaking. I know I saw something that said that he like did not speak any English, so a lot of his directions was just like motioning.
Doesn't surprise me because I'm glad you picked up on this, because I'm watching this and I'm thinking, there's another really famously bad horror movie that it was directed by, I don't know if he was Italian, but he was definitely not, English was not his first language. Troll 2.
Well, isn't that supposed to be like Troll 2 is supposed to be making fun of it?
No, Troll 2 is the thing. Troll 2 is the movie. It is the chef's kiss of terrible horror movies. Troll 2 is wonderful.
I thought Troll 2 is a little more tongue-in-cheek. I don't know. That was like a very tired night when I saw that at midnight.
That's Evil Dead 2.
Well, no, specifically Troll 2 I saw in the theaters, and then like some of the creators came in on afterwards, but it was like they came on at 3 a.m. I used to be
amazing.
a big midnight movie person.
So cool.
Like any movie
Lucky.
that could be a midnight movie, except for this one I somehow have missed to see
I'm
at
pretty
midnight.
sure when it was made, at least this director, when it was made, he was directing a movie in sincerity. This was his movie. Obviously it's insane. It was a train wreck, but I say that because I agree. I think the characters were dubbed over. They
just seem so much like they were dubbed. Like, I mean, I think the main actress is. I think she might be American. It is kind of funny because she's like, I'm from New York, and it's like
no,
it's
but she
so
okay.
Weird.
So explain to me why she does half of her lines with a British accent.
I know. Well, when she says she's from New York, she sounds so English. It's like the most. It's just like truly sounds like she's an English person, and she's saying she like literally her line read of I grew up in New York. I think she says like the most.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you have an English accent right now.
I grew up in New York.
Yeah,
you did not though. Yeah,
it is so
and then
funny.
the doctor is also British, and he goes in and out of a British accent a couple of times.
Which usually aren't the English supposed to be the ones who are better at doing the American accent? Isn't that the stereotype?
I'm going to say yes, because every single quote unquote American actor that I thought was American has turned out to be British. So I'm going to say yes.
All American actors
are just secretly British people.
Yeah. Not a single one is
when
from
I
America.
when I found out that Hugh Laurie was Hugh Laurie, I literally hit the floor.
Oh my gosh.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he does have a pretty decent one. I feel like I'm just always so I just always think it's so funny when they have the English, but then I'll just like watch them and be like, hey, this is not an American accent that you're just putting it on. I don't know. Yeah, I really should have tried to like really hammer down exactly where all the actors were from. It was hard to find a good rundown.
That explains the blandness and the shittiness of the plumber and the servants, like all of their performances.
They were very bad and like very much ADR'd, like in a way that I was like, this cannot not be dubbed. But can we just take a moment to appreciate that this is 1980 that this movie was being made, and do you know we have a character that is in fact the original Joe the Plumber.
I knew you were gonna pick up on that. I knew it because they introduced him as Joe the Plumber, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then Joe dies tragically.
Oh well, I did do a lot of background on Joe the Plumber just because
Oh my god!
I have election fever. I just miss.
I can tell. He looks like one of my improv friends.
Joe the Plumber?
No, the character. Joe the Plumber from this movie.
Right.
And I'm like, oh no.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I could see that, definitely.
But he comes back as a zombie, so it's okay.
Yeah, and he's like, taxes. I was like, if we just do all Joe the Plumber jokes instead of talking about the movie, I'll be happy. But I just wanted to take a long moment to appreciate Joe the Plumber. Oh, what a wonderful! I was reading his Wikipedia page, and what a funny character, the original or the second Joe the Plumber from the politics. It's just a very
oh Lord.
That whole thing was so funny.
Oh Lord.
It is like, I always think like Trump has created all the humor in elections, but no, we had humor before this.
Sure.
There's like it's always a shit show. Oh no. Okay, fuck. I did not mean to do that.
It's
anyway.
Okay. I knew we weren't going to get past that without you catching it. So it's
of course,
cool. I was mentally prepared.
Yes. Yeah, so we have Joe the Plumber, we have the other guy that's not Joe the Plumber.
There's Joe the Plumber, there's Martha and Arthur.
Which came with the house.
Right. Oh yeah, that's
came
right.
With the hotel.
That's how she says it too. Oh, who were they? Oh, they came with the hotel. Okay.
And her friend's like, oh, that's weird that they came with the hotel. And it's like,
I wonder what they're doing there.
It's not like, because he's like a local, right? But it's very unclear. Like, I guess he's a local, because at one point he's like, I've lived here for a very long time.
Yeah, I barely remember this guy. The only thing I remember is that line.
Really don't understand. No, because he's in a lot of it, and I truly don't understand what his relationship to her is, or where he comes from, because he's like, he doesn't seem to have a job, but to gaslight her.
He's the other, Martin, I think is his name. Yeah, he's the other guy. Yeah.
He's the other guy, like...
The guy who's gaslighting her.
The guy who's right, but I mean, like, everyone's kind of gaslighting each other.
Yeah, but he's one of the other guys.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that I could not keep track. Guys.
Also, you filmed this movie in Louisiana, and we see one person of color in the entire film.
Because it said in the Wikipedia. I was really on Wikipedia today. It said like Southern Gothic, and I was like, I feel like Southern Gothic has to have like people of color in it, and
yeah,
it's like
please explain to me. The only thing that feels Southern Gothic about this is the hotel.
Yeah,
like it's an old hotel. She's fixing up an old hotel.
Well, that's the thing, is like, you do have these set pieces where you're expecting, like, that's why, like, in the first shot I was like, okay, so we like have like some sort of lynching scenario. Like, it just felt very like specific, and then it was just so not that at all. It was just completely just like very incomprehensible, like zombie stuff. Like,
so towards the end, this thing becomes just a full-on zombie movie. I mean, they have to the doctor and our main character have to escape the zombies
to get
out of the hospital.
Wow, we're a zombie movie now. But then at the same time I was like, but what were we before? Like, a lot of stuff was happening.
That's a good question. Well, okay, we knew it was going to be a zombie movie when in the autopsy scene, when they hook up the brainwave machine. Okay,
to a corpse that's been dead for 7 years.
Right, to the warlock's corpse, and all of a sudden it cuts to the machine and it goes burp, 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 burp,
Which
burp,
is
burp.
so funny because we have these two doctors and they're kind of going off each other. The one doctor is like, I'm gonna put the brain machine on this corpse that's been dead for 7 years, and then the guy's like, well, I would try to stop you, but I knew you were gonna do this no matter what. It's like, what is happening? Why would that be anyone's first idea?
Also, okay. When Joe the plumber dies,
Yes.
his wife and his child come to the morgue, the lab, the hospital, whatever this place is, to see him.
Yes.
How the fuck? You cannot just, and I know I'm nitpicking here, but you cannot just walk into a morgue and just like, I'm gonna dress this body for a funeral, and then you
So
bring,
weird.
and then you bring your kid. You can't. There's nobody there.
So
It was harder to get into the morgue in Men in Black than it
And
was
it's also like,
to get into the
aren't
morgue in
there
this movie.
services for this? Like, don't
Yes.
like you don't have
A
to be the one
funeral
to do
home.
this. Like, you should be like, I was just like, she should be getting paid for this. I mean, like in American society, I mean, there are cultures where that's more of a normal thing, but in like the American culture, that's a job. Like, you should be getting paid for like dressing a body like that. Like, that's work that someone does.
Well,
you know?
and then I mean it's fine because she trips and like a bottle of hydrochloric acid falls
Right, which is
right on her face.
the scene where it's water, but
Right,
it
right,
is
right.
acid.
Right, and then her daughter comes in.
Right,
She's
and
like,
freaks out.
Mommy! And then
Because the zombies are all coming alive at that point.
Right.
There's like 40 doors in this one room.
So
that
many
we did not
doors.
see at any time until she's trying to get out of all the different doors.
there happens to be a fucking elevator that's just right there. Like, what is
Well,
this
and
place?
she like doesn't she try to get out of the doors? She like tries like 14 doors as they're coming
Yes.
at her. We've like we have to have done a full circle around
Well,
the
not-
room, and
yeah.
then she just still we don't ever see her get out, do we?
Yes, she does. She does get out because not only are the zombies coming after her, but it's that weird pool of blood that's also kind of chasing her.
A pool of blood is chasing her, but then like, and it's like foam. It's like a very
Right.
I wonder if that was like stop motion or something. It seems
Yeah.
very like solid. Like it didn't feel like it should be moving.
Maybe that's the look that the director was going for. I don't know. But
I mean, you know, it's like not you can't watch this movie and be like, yeah, this is realistic in any
oh
possible
no,
way.
yeah,
So,
no,
you know,
no, it's not realistic.
if that's what you're going for, then go all in. You know,
I mean, a
That's-
bunch of tarantulas eat a guy's face off,
Yeah.
and you get to watch.
And we get to watch the same 4 tarantulas because they had a shot. They had a bit of coverage of these tarantulas walking on the floor, and we get to see them walk on the floor,
right, that's
then them eating the
right.
body, then the same tarantulas,
Don't
4
forget-
tarantulas walking on the same floor.
Don't forget the ones on the camera lens.
Yes,
because you get to
yeah.
see the underside of them
Well, they're
too.
like obviously on like a glass table, and like yeah, and like I remember being a kid and like laying underneath the glass table in my like house, and that would be what it would be like if a spider was on it. And this is like, I guess supposed to be his eyes, but all we're seeing is like a spider very actively walking on a glass thing. Like it's not someone's face. It's like there's like so much room of glass. Like it's just watching a tarantula on a glass table. It's very funny.
I feel really bad for the tarantulas. This movie gives them such a bad rap. Tarantulas are great.
Yeah, because they're puppets when they're attacking. Because tarantulas, it's not
Yes,
their nature.
yeah, because you can't get a tarantula. I mean, obviously a tarantula will bite you, but you can't get it to bite you on command.
Yeah, and it is kind of funny because I didn't like fully tell, but I mean, I guess I must have assumed that that's what they were doing. But the way they move. It's like when we see them on the floor, they do move more spider-like than when they're attacking him. They start being slightly different in the way they're moving.
Tarantulas' mouths are tiny. Like their fangs are huge, but their mouths are very small.
It's really
And
unclear
they're-
what they're doing.
Right, and they're like ripping whole like sheaves of skin from
Yeah.
this dude's face, and I'm like, okay, all right,
And
movie.
also, like, every time someone's bleeding, it is, like, so much liquid that is, like, so liquid. Like,
red,
the
like red paint everywhere.
yeah, it's
One-
like, but it's not even paint. It's, like, red water. I'm like, this,
Yeah,
because paint
yeah.
would be more like blood. It's, like, it
True.
truly looks like
True.
it's, like red, not soda, because that's carbonated, but it
Food-colored
looks
water.
like, yeah, food-colored water. Like, that's the only thing it looks like. It's not even tomato juice, because that's too viscous.
I mean, there are close-ups of like heads with the blood geysers just like exploding.
Though at least when it's exploding, that is better. There's a few times where it really just seemed like a waterfall
Oh,
of blood,
definitely.
where it was just like, this is just so far from anything that could possibly be blood.
The corpses just fall apart, and it's just like, yeah, just rivers I've got to stop making sound effects. Just rivers of blood. Rivers of blood.
It's a lot of
Oh,
fun.
the worst was when before the housekeeper died. The worst was when she goes into the bathroom and there's just that bathtub full of water. And I'm just like, nope, hard nope. And then she does the worst thing, which is, I'm just going to stick my arm inside it
And grab
the stopper out of the tub to get the water to go out, I guess. I'm just like,
Do you take
no.
baths?
Yes.
I was going to say, I bet you take baths, because to me, I was like, haha, why are you doing this?
I just took a bath 2 nights ago. And I have to watch this.
This is why Psycho is the one that would get me, because I'm showers all the time.
I still accidentally spook myself when I'm in the shower. Yeah.
I've actually not seen Psycho, but I do think about it sometimes when I'm in the shower. But then I think about all the classes I've had about scoring where we talked about, I'm like, right, it's a movie. It's not a real thing.
Right,
It's just
right.
scoring.
Right. Psycho is actually really great if you haven't seen it. It's actually really
it's
good.
a classic. I'm just trying to not see all the movies I
although-
should have seen.
Although, let's talk about score, shall we? Let's talk about the use of music in this film, shall
Very
we?
weird.
What the fuck?
And they rescored it, and apparently the rescoring is so much worse because everyone was
Really?
praising this score.
Are you kidding? There's a corpse falling apart, and it's like game show music.
It's so ridiculous. And it's like sometimes very dramatic when not a lot is going on.
She one of the characters, the main character looks at a page in the book or something, and all of a sudden the music is like, brrrr, and I'm like, whoa, and then the music will just cut out.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it will come back on and then cut out and I'm like, this is.
It's funny because like music is supposed to be atmospheric and it's supposed to like give you like a mood, so you're like you're not focusing on it. But the music is like truly, even if you didn't go to film school, it is just like you are so aware of how, because it does not work with the images. Like
the
it's
music
not creating
is
the right mood.
No, the music is jarring AF.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous, and it's the
And sometimes
same.
it cuts the tension because it's like way too dramatic for something that you could have, like, if you had more building score, it would have been more scary. But the fact that it's so ridiculous off top, it's like makes it less
And
scary.
it's the same piece of music. Not every single time, but for the longer stretches, for like the bodies melting and everything, it is the same piece of music, the same piece of happy, upbeat music.
And the mix is so loud. It's just
It's terrible.
compared to like the dialogue, which the dialogue's already ADR. The sound effects, the Foley is just like, it's having a day.
I was so happy. I'm just like, shoes walking on hardground.exe. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, it is really bad.
I actually really like that sound, so I'm just like, yes. But anybody takes a step and it's just like click, 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 click. No matter what surface they're walking on, click, 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 click,
Like,
click.
and there's it like, oh my god, in the hospital, like with when you have the daughter and the woman, I was like, this isn't even matching. Like there's no reason for that, like
No,
there's
because
so much of that.
it's the same clicking sound, which sounds like high heels to me, but it's for both the mother and the daughter.
Right,
and I'm
it's
like,
the same
whoa,
sound. Yeah.
You're not going to tell me that the little girl is wearing high heels. Also, I could not place how old that girl was.
Yeah, she seemed like, I don't know.
It's not important
Like,
at all.
it's
but
not.
I was just like, she.
But then she
seems
becomes an
older.
orphan and then she's blind.
Right. So the blindness, yeah, and
Yeah, because the zombies are blind also. But it's
Right.
never clear that they can't see.
but you do get lots of wonderful shots of her eyes and the blind woman's eyes and everybody's eyes, and it's just milky.
They're just like milky instead of
white.
where the pupil and what is it called? The eyes.
It actually reminded me a lot of my friend who has the same condition.
Oh.
His eyes they look exactly like that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean that's it is kind of funny. It is seen as so dramatic, and for me, I'm like, okay, it's someone's eyes. Like this seems like like this isn't like a scare. Like it's just a person's eyes. But also they had to wear contacts because of course you can't have a blind
Right.
actor.
Right, but it felt very like, look upon this disabled person.
Exactly.
Gaze upon how horrible they are, and I'm like, okay,
then we have to have a close up of the eyes
all the time.
All the
it's
time.
multiple close-ups. I mean, we just got done watching Freaks, and that
so different.
right. And although that movie isn't perfect, at least these disabled people felt like real people.
Right. It is totally. I mean, like, and in the movie's defense, this movie, not a single character is a real person, even remotely.
You are
There's
correct.
no real
No,
human being.
no,
So that
you are
I will
correct.
give it that. It is not doing that only to the disabled characters. But like it is super like okay, so we have our main blind woman who's the like not the zombified, because the zombies we don't like, we have to assume that they're blind, but it's also like again, like they don't act like it necessarily.
No, I honestly don't think the zombies were blind.
But they have the eyes, I think all of them do.
I didn't get a very close up look
I
at
didn't
their
either,
eyes.
but I think they all do, because I think that's why it's so dramatic. But again, I mean, it's like
they
I
are-
don't think you can come up with a real plot. With this.
they are traditional zombies. These are Walking Dead. These are Walking Dead slow zombies. These are not like 28 days later rage
And if
zombies.
you shoot them in the chest, they don't die, but the head they do.
Okay, we need to talk. That was infuriating. First of all, the doctor has got the gun that never runs out of bullets.
Well, until it does. It does run out of bullets.
It does, but it takes a long ass time to get there.
And halfway through him shooting all them in the head, he's like, I'm just going to try shooting a zombie multiple times in the chest, because
Right.
this is now my idea of what's a smart thing to do.
He goes between headshots and chest shots, and I'm like, okay, first of all,
Pattern recognition.
headshot, double tap. That is how you kill a zombie.
Also, like, they're moving very slow, and even if you're just trying to, even if you don't understand zombies, it's way, like,
And he's
shooting
just
them in the head makes a lot more sense.
You're not only are you wasting bullets, you're not slowing them down. You've seen that
Right,
shooting them in the head
right.
drops them. You've
Right,
seen that
right,
happen, and
right.
yet you're still shooting them.
He sees both happen, and then he continues to make the same mistake, and he's not zombified. Like, he is perfectly, with, like, a guy shooting at things to save the girl who's, like, keeps screaming.
Oh yeah, keep screaming, and for these sound zombies to find you.
Oh my god, that's true. Maybe that's why the sound zombies are always finding.
Also, sound zombie, great band name. Just saying.
That's a very good band name. That would be great. We should do that. That could be our band.
Yes.
So we don't know if they're blind. We do know that I guess we have to assume the contacts they're wearing do blind them, the actors. So the actors had to be blind, and apparently the blind woman was like, or the blind woman character. Oh my gosh, what was her name?
Emily.
Yeah, I think
pretty
that's
sure
right.
it's Emily. Yeah.
But Emily, the actress who plays her, was complaining about it. I'm like, well, you could have gotten a blind actor who's could have solved your problem.
Yeah, totally.
Then you wouldn't have someone complaining about not being able to see what the contacts in, because there's a lot of people who do that every day and are just fine. But whatever. She's the blind seer, which is a trope.
Such a trope. I mean, she even utters a line about like, well, the blind people, we can see so many other things that sighted people can't. I'm majorly paraphrasing, but essentially,
but it's even more blatant. Like, oh my god, I laughed when I was like, I was like trying to think of clips to play, and I'm like, it's just one short line, but it's just so funny that's she just like verbatim says the thing. Oh god, yeah, she is she has her dog. We meet her in the middle of the road, which we should probably talk about, because why was she just standing in the middle of the road, and why is our main character who has the hotel like is just driving on this like large empty road, like
right. This is what threw me off, because I was like, you're shooting in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Louisiana can't have a place like that.
I had the same
but
problem.
I'm like, where is this?
It does not seem. It seems completely like an entirely different country that they're in, which could be true, because I think they filmed some stuff in Italy, but most of it's in Louisiana. It really just is completely different set from the rest of the movie. It's very jarring. You're like, why would she be on this road? There's no way that this road would be connecting any place that she would be going in between. And on top of that, you have a character that's supposed to live in the town that's now in the middle of the road. So like theoretically it should be really close to the town. And it is very funny because we see her coming up on the blind woman standing with her guide dog in the middle of the road, and we have our main character who's like driving, and we cut between the two of them back and forth, and it's not until like the woman is like really very close to the blind woman that she's like, oh my gosh, and is like starting to react to the fact that a woman is just in the middle of the road.
Yeah, there are these weird, long, lingering shots. Like someone will say a sentence of dialogue, and the camera will just hold on them for 2 seconds, and you can literally watch as you can watch the apathy creep into the actors.
It's so funny, like, because it's never
great.
for dramatic effect. It's always just it's just always jarring in a way that feels like, I mean, I guess if you wanted everything to seem like wrong and like off, I guess
that's a good way to do it.
I mean, yeah, you can always argue that. Though sometimes I'm like, if that's your entire thing, then you can just do whatever. Like, you can just film whatever the fuck you want. If like it's not that hard to make things seem weird, like just break rules that make things seem like break the 180-degree rule. I mean, some of that stuff is just like, it's not that hard to just do dumb shit that's like that makes things feel off. And so sometimes but I don't know. I'm jaded.
I'm a fan of a good Dutch angle. It's all right.
I mean,
it works.
It's just when your entire movie, this is a personality thing maybe with me, where because I've always been the like one who's like, I don't know, like Lynchian stuff, where I'm just like, it's like, yeah, you can do a lot of stuff to make things seem weird and off. Like, humans are really good at like telling what's weird in an environment. Like, we're very attuned to that. It doesn't take a lot to trigger that in our brains. Like, I'm always just like, okay. I mean, like, maybe I'm probably being too harsh about it, but it's just like, it just doesn't fit. I think it just doesn't fit with my personality.
Well,
maybe.
this is a movie. I'm not mad that you picked this. I'm not mad that I watched this. It's October. It's the perfect time to watch something
great,
like this.
Yeah.
It's really great. I will never watch it alone again because I just have no personal desire to go back to it. Not honestly, not because of the gore.
I was going to say
the gore really doesn't bug me.
Because
no,
it's just boring to watch.
No, it's just incoherent.
Yeah.
And I don't appreciate that. I don't want my time wasted. However, you get like you said, you get like 7 or 8 friends, you pop a couple of beers or whatever.
No, it has to be a midnight movie and it has to be an audience full of people.
Yeah,
for
you're
me,
right.
But yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm gonna throw on this movie. Hey, y'all want to watch something incredibly weird and fucked up?
Right.
Absolutely going to put this on.
Like, because you can do that to me. Like, I can do that with like something like a bad movie, like, like The Room or something, where you can like actively make fun of it with a lot of like chatter. Like, I think that's when I like a small group of friends so you can actually be like talking. This movie is so incoherent that it's not like fun to like ridicule it in like with words. Like, you just laugh because of the extremeness of it, which is why I'm thinking movie theater, because like you want to watch a movie that's like not coherent, just so far from coherency that it's not even worth trying to make it coherent. And I feel like those movies are good for like when you're watching with a big group of people that can laugh about it and be like, what is happening? Like, it's just like it's also,
no, you're right. I mean, the first time I saw The Room was in a movie theater full of people.
Though
I'm so glad.
I have seen The Room many times, both at home and in movie theaters, and I am more of a like with friends kind of room person, because then you can just, I mean, especially for like the beginning, once you like know all the movie, it's less fun you don't need to watch it like with people that you can talk to. But like, I do find, especially when you're watching a terrible movie for the first time, it is really fun when you have friends that you could like make fun of it at the same time. It's like, what is it called? They're riff tracks now.
Yeah, riff tracks.
What was
Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery Science Theater
3000.
Yeah, it's like Mystery Science Theater. I never fully got, because I was like, I want to be the one making fun of it. You're doing the thing I enjoy doing. You're doing it for me.
Have you ever gone to any of the riff tracks live showings? Those are a lot of fun.
I haven't gone to any live ones. I've gone to the ones where they broadcast the live one into theaters.
I've also done the same. Yeah.
But I'm just always like, but I would have fun doing this. Like, this is a sport. It's like, I don't know. It's just like watching, I guess it's like watching someone play a video game when I'm like, I mean, which some people really like to do, but I mean, it's just kind of like, I want to be the one doing this. Like, I don't want to watch you doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm weird. But yeah, but this movie, it just doesn't make any sense. And I mean, I think also just like, it is kind of fun to like think about all the ways that they did stuff. And that is what it is. And I think what you said about it being like a highlight reel is not the right word. Like
a demo reel.
Yeah, a demo reel, like for the director or for the like effects. Basically, I think is totally right because there's like not a coherency. That's definitely the way it like reads. Is like because they have no interest in really tying things together. Occasionally, you know, have like one or two scenes where two people are talking and they're not giving, and they're just making it more confusing. Like they're just
and
just
then
like what
the movie basically ends with, so for some reason, somehow they make it out of the hospital and they go down this spiral staircase, and I'm sitting there thinking, damn, the spiral staircase is familiar. It is familiar because it's the spiral staircase that you have to walk down to get to the basement in the hotel.
Right.
And she's like, we're in the hotel. How did that happen? and then all of a sudden this just corpse rises up from wherever.
There's
and
a
then
lot of
the music, so many corpses. And then the music swells and they walk out into the apocalypse.
Yeah, the hellscape. Well, because we have this painting the whole movie that's of
Right.
the thing that we see at the end, which also, though, your confusion is that I had a whole idea of what they wanted the last scene to be. They ran out of money and then they just came up with it on the fly. So that's why you're having that reading
Oh
of it.
my
It's
God,
'cause
that
they
explains
did not think
so
it through at
much.
all. Not like this movie was thought through at all,
There's
but that
no-
was even less thought through than most of it.
That both explains everything and makes me so angry.
I mean, I was like, that could have been theoretically at least something they were building up to in the movie. Like, that was one of the few things that actually, like, in some way tied something together.
Right,
and it is funny to me that that's not even the thought that they had.
This painter, Sveith, yeah, he's
Yes.
mentioned. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he's mentioned.
Room 36, he's the one who died, who was murdered,
Right.
crucified,
Right.
because he's a warlock, as we were saying before. And so that's why the bell for 36 rings, which is also very funny because actually, I have no idea what that system is. That is an archaic system that I have no context for, but I guess like each room can ring a bell.
Yeah, it's basically just
it's like when
an
you're on a
electronic. It's an electronic bell pulley system. So in the old manor houses and everything, if you go down to the kitchen, there would be a wall of bells, and each bell is labeled living room, dining room, whatever. And in each room, there's a pull cord, and you yank the cord, and then that bell goes jingle, 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 and the servants downstairs know to come up to
Does it
whichever
make
room.
such an obnoxious sound?
No, they're cute little bells that go ding, ding,
Like
ding,
it
ding, ding.
truly sounds like something is like wrong.
I wanted to throw it out the window the first time I heard it.
Yeah, that's also like, why do they need that? I mean, like, it's not because
It's because so she's refurbishing the hotel, so apparently she's going to fix it or something.
right, but it's broken because it keeps. Well, at first she's like, oh, might be someone who I invited up here is going to be like they must have just shown themselves in and are ringing the bell. And no one's in there, and then it rings multiple times. And okay, so it says 36 on the little screen. Is it so that like does the number of the room pop
Yeah.
up because there's no other numbers?
Yeah, each number because it must pop up. That's how it
Right,
has to
that's
work
how
like
they
that.
have to know.
Yeah, because a number pops up, and then that corresponds to the room number.
Right, but I
that needs
thought
help.
like I swear that it said 36 even when it wasn't ringing, or like that it would be. But
yes, because it was stuck on 36.
but then why did the bell ring if it was stuck?
I don't know.
That doesn't
It's
make
another
sense.
spooky thing, I guess.
Yeah. But you could have just made it so it wasn't stuck and just it seemed like someone was ringing it, because that would be equally scary but like less confusing. So it feels.
I guess it was broken. It's a broken machine. It's not supposed to work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, but it's broken in a way that feels more kind of just like malfunctioning as opposed to like scary. I don't know. The noise is really annoying.
Yes, very much so.
I'll give it that.
It's scary because you're not supposed to go in room 36. That's the room that no one's supposed to go into.
Right.
And
But
everybody
yeah.
wanders into that room.
Right, everyone, and then we have our lead sees the man who was killed, and then like it was nothing was there, and then she gets gaslit by the dude that who knows who he is. Does he work? Because he works at the hospital too, right?
I guess. I have no idea. There were so
But then he
many
goes
doctors.
into the hospital. No, he must, because even though he goes into the hospital and it doesn't feel like he must know the people at the hospital. I think because he mentions he has friends there at the hospital. But when they walk in, it does seem like he's just walking in as a patron off the street. The plot, it's incomprehensible. It's all incomprehensible.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, our characters walk off into the chilling sunset hellscape that is this warlock's painting. Maybe that was his master plan all along. I don't know.
I mean,
don't know.
There's don't build a hotel on hell, I guess, is the moral.
Well, that's obviously, if any horror movies have taught us anything, it's don't build a hotel in a hellmouth. Don't build your house on a Native American burial graveyard. Don't do that.
Just generally a good idea, though. The second one, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't do that.
Be respectful
anyway.
of the land.
Yes, that's actually the plot of Poltergeist, which is a fantastic movie. The first one, at least. If you have not seen it,
I haven't seen it yet. My grandmother's painting is in that movie.
Oh my god, you're the coolest person ever.
Well, thank you. I'll just take that. It's my grandmother though, so that is I mean that the hellmouth thing, I mean, it's not, I'm using the Buffy terminology, they think it's like gate to hell or something.
That's what I used too when I was watching. It was like, oh, obviously hellmouth. It's a hellmouth.
Well, they don't really they say it sometimes, but it's weird. I don't know. Like it's built on hell of some kind, but it's not like there's any sort of consistency to how all this works. So it's it's not like you could really follow it that much. But we do have that he's. I mean, I guess we already talked about he's drawing the painting because we have like the blind woman, her hands. This is another time where the Foley is like, what is happening?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, is this supposed to be like
so many times?
Like I was like, I guess this is supposed to be something where it's like not actually what's happening, but it's like she's putting her hands really close to the painting, not touching it, and it's like this scraping sound that there's no she's not even touching the painting.
Right, and then she brings her hands away and they're covered in blood.
Right. Which, does she get hurt? Or, because it's not until she she can't see it. She just starts screaming, but it's not until we, the audience, sees it. So it's does it, I mean, it can't even be that it's not until she sees it that she screams because she can't see. So it's, very unclear what's making her scream.
Search me. I have no idea.
There's a lot of screaming women in this movie.
As much as the Foley distracted me in some parts, I don't know, I kind of sort of appreciated all of the weird sounds that were used, because it does kind of turn your stomach a little bit, and it does make you sit up and take notice, because these sounds just don't match.
They don't
what's
match.
going
and
on.
That is kind of fun, because I do think something with Foley that I get frustrated with is when it's supposed to be very realistic, but you can as a blind person, you can tell it's not the right noises, but it's off just slightly, that you feel like it's just oh, so I'm being distracted because I know what things sound like. And and other people probably are not as distracted by this as I am. And whereas this, it's kind of way it's so much more different than what it should be, and it's the movie is completely it's surreal. There's nothing to grasp onto, so it is kind of fun because it does kind of seem it definitely to me felt very much like I was just in iMovie. I mean, just because of the level of just how much, not even Final Cut or Premiere, just adding the iMovie sound effects in weird places. It did very much feel like that, because it did seem like a lot of them were from the iMovie sound library. So that is kind of funny. But then again, I truly did not spend a single second watching this movie where I was not just thinking like an editor, and not, I just didn't, there was not a moment that I wasn't just thinking about the editing. So maybe that's my brain that can't focus on the plot. Well, no, not the plot, but I don't know.
I just didn't enjoy or appreciate the way that it felt like blindness was being treated as a plague. That it was contagious. I'm not a fan. I don't enjoy that plot point with any sort of disability.
Right, it's bad, and then it was also they weren't even they also didn't truly commit to that. So you also because I wanted to be more mad, but then I was also is that even happening? It was I felt like it was being shitty to me and then gaslighting me about it, because it was really hard to understand if they were going blind or not.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to bring that up, because I was just I don't understand because it's just
It doesn't make sense.
It's just eyes everywhere. Oh no, eyes, spooky eyes.
Right. And also, I think you're totally right that like it isn't spooky. The eyes are not like, or I mean, spooky is always a silly word to use, but like that it's played up as horror to see someone's eyes. That just could be like totally just a person's eyes. Like that's not horror, and it's shitty to like it. It is kind of like what we were talking about last week with Freaks. Like, it's just being disabled does not make this horror. Like, this is not, disabled bodies are not horror. Like, that's not an okay one-to-one. And I think Hollywood has a big problem with doing that. And I feel like both of these movies fall into that, like, just, body is different. It's horror. When it's like, you know, I mean, when someone gets like destroyed by a spider, that spider would not be actually in that person's face, but that, I mean, people's face, the body coming out of the bathtub, that's horror, but like a disabled body, not horror.
Right. I mean, The Shining kind of does relatively the same thing with body in the water.
With body in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Like like the bathtub scene as well.
Yes.
Okay,
sorry. Yeah, the bathtub scene.
I don't know why that took me a second. Red rum. That's
yes.
Yeah. Well, that one has like one of those like flashes that really freaked me out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, and the Shining has a plot.
Yeah, The Shining is I know. I did think about that a lot. I mean, you kind of have to because it's also a movie about a hotel. Like, I definitely had to think about The Shining because we also have like pools of blood, like, and a hotel that's like cursed. I mean, it's a very different setting, but like still.
There was
similar.
multiple times when I was comparing this to The Shining because if you.
Oh, you have a kid.
Yeah, well, I mean.
Slightly very different.
Our main character is being gaslit.
Oh yeah, well that's all horror movies.
Well, okay, yeah, that's true. That's very true. Our Emily turning out to be a ghost, maybe.
Oh yeah,
that's also a thing
I was
from The
saying about
Shining.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We didn't have any writing. We did have a book, but we didn't have any writing anywhere. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Samwise.
Samwise agrees.
And no one was working or playing. It was just a lot of really incomprehensible decision making. Or I don't even know if anyone made any decisions at all. It was just incomprehensible what they were doing or what was going on.
Yeah, I was just trying to latch on to like something that I know.
Something happening.
to give this context.
But no. And I mean, like, at least the one good thing is I was like, okay, so if there was a coherent plot, this seems like it was so excited about its visuals that there would be a lot of visual like, I feel like I would lose a lot. So part of me was like kind of relieved that there was no coherence whatsoever because I was like, if it was coherent, we would just not. It would not be coherent to us. It would be coherent to sighted people. And there's like no audio description. So it would just be that we didn't understand what happened.
Well, and I'm wondering if this movie is more coherent in Italian, in its original language.
And I couldn't even figure out what language it was in when it was released in Italy. I mean, I guess they must have like dubbed over. I mean, again, I just could not figure out what was up with the languages because it did get released in quite a few different countries. I don't know like exactly in what way it got released, but it wasn't that weird to have a movie like an Italian movie that had just weird English dubbed for Hollywood. It's a whole thing. So I don't know. It was kind of hard to figure out. I don't think it made sense in any language or in any context. I did look at some of the reviews, and Incoherence I think was the main plot. Or the main idea of all of the reviews. I did not see a single person who thought it was coherent. I think there were two camps. There were the people who were defending that it being incoherent was like a stylistic choice, and then the other people were like, what? This was incoherent. I didn't like it. And those were the two options you had.
I mean, I would totally fall down on the side of incoherent stylization. Because it is incredibly stylized. It's incredibly incoherent.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's so weird because I didn't like it. I don't like this movie, but I'm grateful for the experience that I had watching it. I enjoyed the experience of watching it. Just don't think I'll ever go back to it.
Oh yeah,
but
no.
I
But
don't.
it was kind
I
of
don't
fun.
hate it.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely like I thought it was fun because I got to watch this movie, even though I did at times was like, I did look at the bar of how long the movie was, probably more than any other movie we've done.
Constantly checking to see how much longer we had to watch. Yeah,
which is like last week with Freaks, I was like, it's short. I really was engaged with it. It was like both the shortest movie, and I was just like, oh my god, that was such an easy watch. Like, you know, I had tried to make time for it, but then I was like, I don't even need to. So just easy breezy cover girl. And like this was just the most, it's like in a swamp, just getting through. And then in the end you were just in hell, and then you were like, okay, well, that's it, we're done.
There it is.
Yeah,
we made it.
Yeah,
this movie isn't even that long. It's only an hour and 30 minutes.
You know, it's even less. I think it's 27 minutes. I mean, which is not that much less, but yeah. It's not even an hour and a half technically.
So it won't even take up too much of your time, but woof.
I mean, okay, this is like super specifically if you do just like practical effects horror, this is, you know, definitely a fun movie to watch.
If you're a fan of the Italian horror masters, watch it. Yeah, absolutely. Give it a go.
If you are kind of one of those people who's really into the fever, which is a lot of people, granted, like the fever dreamy kind of vibe things, that don't really have any sort of coherence, then this is also fun. I mean, definitely if you really like horror practical effects, this is a great, you know, that's what it set out to do. I don't think like anyone was trying to do anything other than that, which, you know, that's why we have all the movies. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a movie that just knows what it sets out to do. I mean, you know, it's an hour and a half. So I think that makes the film, the broader film industry, better, that you can just set out to do a specific thing in a movie and you can just do it, and then you can like set out to do other stuff. You can set out to do a lot of stuff in a movie that you know, try to balance a lot of different aspects. This did not do that. This just wanted to do cool practical effects and like find ways to, you know, make them seem maybe not realistic, but at least, you know, just make them in the movie. So, you know, they did that, and it's a lot of it.
I think we might have just rated the movie at the same time. I mean,
well, should we rate it for its blind portrayals?
Oh, why not?
Do you want me? I can go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna give. I'll give this movie 2020. I mean, it is kind of hard to remember that there's blind characters. You know, we do have the funny thing where she's like in the middle of the road, which, I mean, I don't know. The middle of the road thing is like a very striking image, so I was kind of into that, and even though it's completely makes no sense at all, and it's just like, why is this in here?
Well, I mean, if you think about, if you really try and break it down, like she's driving on an open road, there's no one around her, and this woman just appears out of nowhere and gets in her way.
Yeah.
So if you try and break it down to the metaphors, you can kind of sort of wrap your head around it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, that it's like, I guess that's true. She's blocked.
She's trying to make progress, but she doesn't know. It's an open road with nothing around her. She doesn't really know where she's going, and poof, there's this blind woman who
seems like she's blocked the way, but maybe she's helping by being in the middle of the road, and just kind of scary for her, but luckily she's a ghost probably, but then she can die, so
probably,
it's
maybe
very confusing.
she's the most bloody ghost I have ever seen.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I do like I mean, okay, I don't like at all that it wasn't a blind actor. I do like when context blinds the actor so that the sighted actors have to pay for being sighted actors. Because it's a tax that we can give them for not supposed to be there. Like at least they have to suffer.
Also hard and fast rule: you will never find a blind person who has trained their guide dog to attack people.
And we have had this just happened in like every movie this month, and it has made me so mad.
Guide dogs don't work like that.
Guide dogs do not attack. Why do they attack in every single movie we watched other than Freaks? Oh my gosh, they don't attack. That's like the whole point of them. If anyone has seen Quill, the life of a guide dog, they would know.
Quill would never hurt anybody.
He would never.
He's so sweet.
He's supposed to be non-reactive. That's the whole point of that, because if they react to everything, they're a terrible guide dog and they shouldn't have passed guide dog school. anyway, I mean, it's a ghost guide dog, so maybe they're trained
Right.
differently. Our friend Dickie, the guide dog.
What a stupid name.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, they give them names, so
But yeah,
that's
yeah.
why.
But Dickie, really? There's so many
bad
beautiful
one.
D names, and Dickie is what
Dickie,
you picked.
that's true. Yeah,
A Dickie is a piece of fabric that you can wear, that if your shirt has a really deep neckline and you're not sure about it, you can put this piece of fabric on called a Dickie that covers up the neck of the shirt. So it's not a full tank top, or it's not even a full shirt. It's just something that goes around your collar underneath the shirt.
Oh, okay, so that's probably why, because then that's where the dog bites her. So that's probably why it's called
There you
Dickie.
go. Oh, that makes sense.
Full circle.
Perfect.
Also, we
Perfect.
explained homo, we explained Dickie. We did it. Okay, good.
Mine is also a hard 2020.
Yeah.
That's just it is what it is. This movie is definitely not here to try and move the cause of blindness or blind people forward. It's just here to do what it does, and it does it unexpectedly well.
Yeah, I mean, those contacts, they're supposed to be a thing. They're there. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there's any other things that would be to address with her. I mean, yeah, it's hard when you just don't really have a lot of coherent plots. I think like in abstract, having a blind person who's like, don't do this, and it's like the smart one. I mean, I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, it's, the blind seer is very like tropey and kind of stupid for a lot of reasons. But like, I don't know, I guess like blind people being more like just practical is like, because that's in some ways you could argue in like some context of this movie that she's the practical one who's like, just don't do the hotel on the Hellmouth. Like, it's just logical. Like, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm fine with the blind character being the practical one who's like talking sense into people. Like, that is like, there could be worse stereotypes things.
Sure.
But that's about it. Like, the rest of it is just completely out there, and you really don't know. Like, yeah, the blindness is also, I mean, it is supposed to be sort of like it's like a metaphor, I guess, that you can't tell what the metaphor is for.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I was like, okay, metaphor is fine. It can be a metaphor. But for what?
Because I guess it's like a biblical thing, and I'm sorry, Melissa, that you have to be the Bible study one in our podcast, but like, it's like, like, one of the things is like, it is something about those who don't see or unseen, that there's something about like, there's some metaphor in the Bible about thing like that isn't even supposed to be blindness, but it's supposed to be like I guess what's unseen, and so the blind characters are supposed to represent what's unseen, like that and I think it's like kind of like if you see evil and then you can't see anything. I think that's kind of like the gist of the idea.
Okay, I mean, sure, yeah, all right, I'd buy that for $1.
Is that like, is that a Bible thing? I mean, I guess it is.
I mean, it's not ringing any of my bells, but
Okay.
granted, I'm not a biblical expert.
I know, but you're more than I am. So this is where your knowledge is where this podcast Bible knowledge, until we get like a Bible scholar on.
I mean, if anything, what I could compare it to is the crucifixions, and then Emily representing, no, not Emily, our main character representing Thomas, who was one of the last disciples to see Jesus after he was resurrected, and didn't believe Jesus until he touched him with his own hands and felt the hole in the side of him where the spear went through, and felt the holes in his hands and feet, and then he believed, and then he saw.
Oh, so wait, was he blind?
No.
Wait, oh, I think you're right though. I think this is what they were talking about. I think it was this story. Because yeah, I think that is it. Like, it's like having which also is confusing, because like, was it that he didn't trust his sight?
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't trust Jesus, or he didn't believe that Jesus could come back, and that he was here, and that he had resurrected.
Oh, but like, did he think that the crucifix was like practical effects?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, fair. I would think the same thing. I would be like, how did they edit this to make it look like he was crucified? So I'm kind of with this guy who's like feeling stuff and being like skeptical of
He
practical
just
effects.
wouldn't believe until he saw with his own eyes and
Oh, well,
felt
that
with his own
makes-
hands.
I mean, that's wrong because perception is very
Sure.
will fuck you up. You shouldn't trust that. Trust a web of logic. That's my motto. But yeah, that's kind of like what we were talking about with Blink. So yeah, okay, so we've come full circle.
There we go. We've been to the beyond, and now we're back.
Now we're back. The blink of an eye. There were freaks in the late phases of it, and then
Nice.
we were the men who laughed.
Oh my gosh.
No,
that was good.
by
That was
then,
good. That's good.
Okay, so so now that we're done with our horror month, this being the last week of October, Melissa, what's your pick for this next week?
You think we're done. I am a complete idiot, and this is still one of my favorite movies. I watch it even when it's not Halloween, but especially when it's Halloween. Next week we're keeping things going just a little bit longer with Repo, the Genetic Opera.
And my way of, as the person who is sort of type A and like, we need to like, it has to be on the theme and then we have to stop doing the theme. I'm just saying the election is
Horrible.
It's a horror show. It's a horror movie.
A nightmare hellscape that we're all living
And
in.
so we're continuing into the election the first week to continue to do horror movies in honor of the election.
I mean, this is perfect because Rotti is kind of sort of Trumpian in his characteristics. So.
Well, that'll be fun to talk about before
Yes,
the
I'm
election.
Sorry. I love this movie. I'm really excited.
But then there's also the thing that we record these a couple weeks in advance, so we will be talking about it. But if we compare it to things that happened, it will come out after the election, so we'll have to make that clear.
True.
It's the problem with them being recorded in advance. But yeah, I'm very excited. I saw it at midnight, but when I was younger. But
I think this will be our
see it again.
first full-on musical too.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, like, there's not a lot of blind musicals, but there probably is. We'll find them. But this is one of them. That's very exciting. Okay, so the last thing is what we're blindsided by this week. And do you want to go first, Melissa?
Yes, of course. So mine is in keeping with the theme and the spirit of Halloween and October and everything. I started listening to The Tragic Treasury, which is the album of songs associated with the book series, A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Oh.
The band The Magnetic Fields did it's a full 13 song album. Each song ties to one book in the series.
Oh, wow.
And my favorite, it's really cool. And my favorite one is the song for is the song Dreary Dreary for the book The Miserable Mill, which coincidentally is my least favorite book in the entire series, but I love the song that pairs with it.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, and it's just fun. Every now and again, it's just fun to sing a really sad, depressing song. And Stephen Merritt has such a unique voice, and the Magnetic Fields has and they have such a unique sound, and it's great. And this is just this little album that kids and grown-ups can listen to. They're not inappropriate songs.
Unlike the others, like Magnetic Fields concept albums.
Oh my gosh, yes, but they're great. I love them so much.
Oh, that's really awesome. I didn't even know that existed.
Oh yeah, I'll have to play you the song. They're also very short, all these songs.
That is also
so you can listen to the album in less than an hour. But I'm sure you'll find a favorite. And when I got to meet Lemony Snicket, now I get to flex this time. When I got to meet Lemony Snicket, the Magnetic Fields were there. They were going by the Gothic Archies, because that's the in-universe band.
Oh my gosh.
From this book universe.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they performed live at the book signing. And they performed This Abyss, which is my second favorite song. And This Abyss and Count Olaf's song, Scream and Run Away.
Okay.
Which is just, it's so great. It's wonderful. Even if you don't enjoy the books, and trust me,
I haven't read or seen anything of the books.
The books, it's interesting. The books are definitely not everybody's cup of tea. I really enjoy them. They're just so sad and depressing, but also so helpful too. And the kids, the Baudelaire orphans, triplets, are really excellent characters. And the world that Lemony Snicket created is just nuts. And Count Olaf is a great villain. And yeah, so it's great. So yeah, check all of that out. But the album is The Tragic Treasury.
Nice. Well, I will always listen to any Magnetic Fields or Stephen Merritt projects. Love him and them. Awesome. Well, mine is very stupid. Mine is not a real thing. I don't know. I just was continuing to watch the shows that I have already talked about. So it's like, you know what? This comes out last week of October. So my thing is just fucking vote, guys. If you're able to, just vote.
Hell yeah.
I mean, granted, this is not the best time for voter franchisement. That's probably not how you can use that word, but it's not like a subway, but whatever. It is like... There are people where it's a lot harder to vote, so not to like victim blame or anything, but like if you're able to, please do vote. I don't know. I'm not super happy about the people running for president, but I know this is super controversial as a millennial to say this, but like
I'm still gonna vote.
But I will still vote,
yes.
And I'll vote for president, and I'm voting for Trump, of course. Make America great again. I'm just kidding.
That's the real twist ending, folks.
Yeah. This whole time I've been MAGA hardcore.
Yeah.
That's why Joe the Plumber is like my dude.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
that's excellent. That's fantastic. But seriously, no, get out there, make your voice heard, rock the vote, vote by mail if you can. If you cannot, please be safe. And just wear your mask, socially distant, but
and take care of yourself if you if you can't vote because of like being compromised and like not being able to vote, then fucking yell about it, because that's fucked up and that should not be a thing you're experiencing. And first of all, I say sorry. Second of all, fuck everyone, but that's still vote. Anyone who can, do it for people who can't for all sorts of stupid reasons. I mean, stupid.
And if you have to stand in line for 8 hours, which is happening across our country, you can bring an audiobook, or you can listen to The Tragic Treasury over and over again.
To our entire month of podcast.
Yeah, you could totally do that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of options. Especially our podcast, there's a lot. This is your first episode. There's a lot to go back and listen to about other guide dogs attacking people in this last month. But yeah, so that is my thing. But I'm voting.
It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. I just got my ballot in the mail yesterday.
Me too.
So I need to send that shit in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I gotta find someone with eyes to help me fill it in.
I found someone with eyes.
Lucky.
I know.
Nice.
Blind people in Oregon.
I need someone with eyes that work, please.
Celebrating. Like
Yeah.
Found a human being with eyes.
My board game group is meeting tomorrow. They have eyes. Okay, I'll make them do it.
Yes, and if you're if you're anywhere where there's mail-in voting and you have a blind friend, be their eyes.
Yeah, help them out. Yeah, because it's a computer that tallies those votes, and if the vote is, or the ballot is filled out incorrectly, it will discount the vote. So
there's nothing ableist about that at all. There's no way to think of that as being ableist. There's no scenario in which that could be ableist.
Completely free and equal for everybody.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Yeah, great.
Anyway, but do it. Okay, great. We did that. We got that covered. I think we did October. Next week, come back for something that's
still scary,
super different. No, but it's going to be a lot of fun because it is. Yeah. If we had a lot to talk about this month, we're going to have even more next week. So definitely worth coming back for. Okay, our theme song is by Lucia Fasano. Our YouTube is Citizen White Cane Podcast, where you can turn on closed captions and get the transcripts of the episodes. Our Twitter is White Cane Pod. Our Instagram and our Facebook are Citizen White Cane, and our email address is citizenwhitecanepod@gmail.com. There's in the show notes, there's a link to leave us a voice message. Did you have acid on your face, and what happened?
Have you ever had to escape a hospital laboratory being chased by very slow zombies?
Yeah, do you know what hotels are on the gateway to hell?
Does your friend's tarantula eat people's faces.
Right, yeah. Do you have a tarantula that's your friend? And like, do you guys do fun stuff together?
Like, hang out and watch Italian horror movies.
Yeah. And do you have any idea what happens in this movie at all? What the plot is? Any of those things, link in the show notes. And we'll be back here next week for
Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Looking forward to it. Bye.
Bye.
Citizen Viking.
There was another book here. A different one.
You want to buy the book?
No, not this one. The one that was here before, just a second ago.
That book's been there for 2 years. Nobody wants to buy it. It's very nice, though. Very, very interesting.